Recently, the Palm Springs Kiwanis Club had another great speaker. Let's listen in.
Well, thank you all for having me here today. And you're right, small but mighty, and gets the word out, and that's what's important. And Dennis, you hit the nail on the head when you said that a lot of people don't know what we do and who we serve and what our programs and services are. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I assume all of you know the Braille Institute. We've been in the desert since the 70s, originally here in downtown Palm Springs. Then we acquired the property out on Ramon Road in Rancho Mirage and had our building built in 1989. So we've been out here for quite a while. Braille Institute of America as an organization was founded in 1919, so we're coming up on our centennial now. In fact, we have a centennial committee that had its first meeting just this past month. So we've been around for almost 100 years, and again, people have a lot of misconceptions on who we serve. And our name nowadays is a bit of a misnomer. 90% of our clients do not read Braille, and that's not a bad thing, and I'll go into a little bit of that a little later. 90% do not read Braille. Also, the vast majority of our clients are not blind. Okay, Dennis was correct. We like to say we see everybody from low vision to no vision and everything in between. All right, and again, that's another misconception. People have the idea Braille Institute, it's a place for blind people. They have the whole Helen Keller image. And originally when we started out, our founder, Robert Atkinson, he's an interesting story. He was a cowboy, and he lived in the state of Montana. And he was injured in a gun accident, actually, and subsequently lost his vision. Well, there was not a lot for blind cowboys to do in Montana in 1912. So he moved to Pasadena. He moved in with his mother, and he taught himself to read Braille. And I passed out, you all have the Braille alphabet cards there. People see Braille all the time on public buildings, and a lot of times, they piques their curiosity. So here's your little key, so you understand how Braille works. So Mr. Atkinson taught himself Braille, and he soon discovered that there were not a lot of books available in Braille. Now, at the time, 100 years ago, the process for printing Braille books was very expensive, very time-consuming, very low-tech. I'll give you an example. At our headquarters in LA, we have a copy of the original Braille Bible, and it sits on 23 wooden stands. That's how big the books were back then. So Mr. Atkinson had this idea that he wanted to make more Braille materials available to visually impaired people. So he was able to raise some money. He raised money through his mother's church and through other benefactors, and he raised $25,000, which back in those days was a good amount of money. So with that money, he started a Braille printing press and lending library. Okay, now if you fast forward 100 years, we're still a Braille printing press and lending library. However, as I mentioned earlier, nowadays less than 10% of our clients actually read Braille. And that is not a bad thing, and I'll explain that to you as well. But people are always fascinated by the Braille alphabet. So here's your copy. If you see it on walls or things, you can see if you can read the messages. Now, people always ask me, why is there Braille on drive-up ATMs? Right? Yeah. Right, okay. All right. So the reason it's there is so when the driver pulls up and beyond the ATM, and the visually impaired person sits behind the driver and accesses the ATM that way. All right? So that I get asked that all the time. The other thing I get asked all the time is, do we teach sign language? No. See, you got it, but all right. And the first time, I've worked there now 7 years, the first time somebody asked me that, I had that reaction. It's like, really? But people are serious. They think that we can teach sign language, and I have to very politely explain that our clients are visually impaired, so if you're going like this in their face, they're not going to see. Then they're a little embarrassed and they change the subject. But those are some of the things that misconceptions that people have. People have also said, oh, Braille Institute, yeah, on Ramon Road. How many people live there? They think it's an institution where blind people live. And it couldn't be further from the truth. Has anyone here actually been to our building?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, great. All right, so you know it's more like a college campus. That's kind of the way we like to portray it, as a community college for visually impaired people. And again, everybody from low vision to no vision. So what is low vision? Right? Some people say, I have low vision, I need reading glasses. Right? That's not our definition. Our definition to be able to access our programs and services is basically anyone who has any type of degenerative eye condition whereby corrective lenses no longer work. So that means the person's been to their optometrist or ophthalmologist, right? They've gotten the glasses. Doctor says this is the strongest lenses that they make. They put them on and they say, great, still can't read what's on the page, still can't see your face clearly. Okay, that is when our programs and services kick in, because that's when we can start to provide those people access to training, to adaptive devices, to technology, so that they can continue to do what they want to do in spite of that vision loss. All right, it's all about empowerment. It's empowering visually impaired people to lead active, independent lives. So how do we do that? Well, we have classes. We have what we call daily living classes, which are our core skills, the practical things, cooking, handling money, dressing yourself, things like that, mobility, all of those things that we take for granted. Someone who's visually impaired, they can't see well enough to distinguish colors. How do they know if they have a gray sock and a blue sock on, right? So we teach people how to pair their outfits. And it's as simple as identifying your outfit and then pairing it together with a safety pin. Then when you wear it, you pin it back together and you put it through the washer and dryer with the safety pin and you pull it out, it's all paired. Simple as that. Cooking. If you can't see what their labels are on all of your food, how do you know what you're putting in? Salt and sugar look exactly alike, right? And if you can't read the label, you don't want to put salt in your coffee. So we teach people how to label things, and it's very simple. We like to call it cooking without looking. Also eating. If you can't see what's on your plate, how do you eat? So we teach people a very simple technique. It's called the clock method. So you envision your plate as a clock. And when your food is served, you're told, okay, today you've got a club sandwich. And your club sandwich is at 6 o'clock. And your french fries are at 2 o'clock. And your coleslaw's at 10 o'clock. And you've got an iced tea at 1 o'clock. All right, that helps a person. Very simple, but very empowering to someone who's struggling. Another area where there's challenges is money. Okay, if your vision is fading, unfortunately, American money is all the same size and pretty much all the same color, right? The new hundredths are a little better, but for the most part, the money is all the same size and color. How do you tell the bills apart if you can't see? There's a very simple technique that we teach. And what we teach is that you fold your money according to the denomination. All right, I'm going to show you right now. So you'll all learn a skill right now. All right, so if this were a $1 bill, it would remain unfolded in your wallet or purse. A $5 bill, you fold once in half. A $10 bill, you fold twice. And a 20, you fold lengthwise. All right, very simple, right? So you go shopping, you go to Stater Brothers, the bill is $9.49. You reach into your wallet or purse, you pull out a bill that's folded this way, you know it's a 20, so you know you're giving enough and you know how much change to expect back, right? Very simple, but very empowering to someone who's struggling. I know sighted people who use this technique because they go out at night to restaurants or to the theater. They can't see the bills either. So I'll do it again, all right? Oops. So $1 bill unfolded, 5 you fold once, 10 you fold twice, 20 you fold lengthwise. All right, now what about a 50 and a 100? You keep folding. So that would be a 50 and that would be a 100. So your smallest bill would be your highest denomination. If you get a $2 bill, go to Agua Caliente. We don't have a way to fold that one, okay? But again, this is just very simple techniques, and these are the practical skills that we teach people. We have 100 years experience. We know what works. All right, now, technology. So in the last, well, probably started about 20 years ago, but really in the last 5 years, with the advent of smartphones, smartphones have built-in adaptability for people who are visually impaired and also for people who are hearing impaired. It's all turned off by default for us because we don't need it. But with proper training, a totally blind person can use a smartphone or a tablet as easily and as effectively as you or I can. In fact, there's over 200 apps just for visually impaired people. So there's an app out there. It's a free app. Now, if I were visually impaired, I would not be looking at this phone. I would be touching the screen, and the screen would be talking back to me, telling me what app I'm selecting. All right? But since I can see, I'm going to the app. It's called iNote. And all I have to do is open it, make sure my volume's on, because I never put the volume on, and you just hold it over the money. Like that. Oh.
I hear it.
Do you hear it? I gotta make the volume louder. I apologize. All right, do it again.
$20. Front.
Isn't that amazing? So there's apps out there that will tell color. So again, if you need to pair your outfits, you do the same thing. You open that app, it'll recognize the colors. You can pair your outfits. So this is part of the reason why our clients don't need to learn Braille anymore. The main reason is the majority of our clients nowadays, when we started 100 years ago, our clients were mostly all blind. They were blind from birth or through accidents, through illnesses, diseases. 100 years ago, people didn't talk about macular degeneration. People didn't talk about glaucoma. And the simple reason was people didn't live as long 100 years ago as they do now. And if someone had cataracts back then, grandma had cataracts and that was it. Nowadays, 85 is the new 45, right? So people are living longer, and people don't want to let vision loss stand in the way. They want to continue to be active. They want to play golf. They want to continue to drive as much as possible. They want to travel. They want to go see movies, theater, etc. So our mission is to help them to do that, either through adaptive devices or other kinds of training, mobility training, things like that. So these devices, this is like a Swiss Army knife for visually impaired people, okay? Because it has all of the apps, it has internet, it has a phone, and it has GPS. Now think about the old days. Think about the guy with the white cane, right, walking down the street. Gets to the corner, maybe doesn't know which way to go, right? So he's here on the corner, Palm Canyon and Vistacino. He doesn't know, he's heading towards the hospital. He doesn't know which way to turn. What does he do? He has to wait, right? Ask somebody. You got a long wait on this corner. It's awfully hot. Nowadays, the phone, good old GPS, tell you exactly where you are, which way you need to go, and how far it is to your destination, right? That's Siri. Yeah, you just talk to the phone, and Siri will tell you anything you want to know. It's like, hey Siri, what's the weather today?
Today, the temperature will range from 73 degrees to 105 degrees.
You changed her voice.
Siri's voice lowered.
Yeah, I have for me in the car when I was talking, the female voice, I couldn't hear it. So you can change it. You can have a British accent. You can have Australian accent. Yeah. Yes. I have a friend who has a British accent, and it's very funny. It's like Jeeves. Thank you.
For more, go to KIWANISPalmSprings.org.